Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel. As you may know, Tuesday nights are dedicated to my smaller streams. Last week we wrapped up the winter campaign in Arkham Horror the card game. This week we've got unboxings for a few new games to the collection. So we'll crack these open and see what we've got. What we've got here are 3 games. The biggest game by far is this one, Dwellings of Eldervale by Breaking Games. Then we've got Horrified from, who's this one? By Ravensburger, I think. Yep. But first up, we're going to turn our attention to our Compass Games game of Ostkrieg, designed by Mitchell Ledford and Gregory M. Smith. You may recognize Gregory M. Smith if you're familiar with the Hunters series or the America Bomber series. But those are just a couple of the games that he's done. So we'll actually bring this right up to the table so I don't have any funny business. So this Ostkrieg, I got this from a gentleman off of Board Game Geek in the same order that I got Absolute War, the Russian Front, 1941 to 45. So that's where this came from. We'll take a look at the back of this, and I don't like what I'm hearing in there. Ostkrieg, World War II Eastern Front, is a compact, strategic-level game covering the struggle on the Eastern Front during World War II. This game utilizes a unique and fast-paced, card-driven combat build system first introduced in Pacific Tide, revolving around ground and air operations. While extremely competitive as a 2-player game, Ostkrieg can be enjoyed again and again in solitaire play format with its unique, personality-driven bot system. As a bonus for solo players, Ostkrieg features a solitaire assistant, commonly known as a bot, which gives guidance to the player for either side during solitaire play. The assistant acts differently based on the personality it's been given: aggressive, defensive, or balanced. All game cards have a rating which the assistants will prioritize differently for play. While extremely competitive as a 2-player game, yada yada yada. Looks like it went through that again. Despite the strategic level of the game, there are operation and even tactical nuances, including Axis minor restrictions, as players must decide when and how to commit their ground and air forces. The card-based combat build system is a different take on how the normal event operations points-driven systems. Separate card decks are provided for the Axis and Russian player. Each year, the players receive that year's cards for free, but must use build points to repurchase older cards. This will cause the player a few agonizing moments, as he typically cannot afford to rebuy every card he needs, or thinks he needs. Players must also decide which aspect of cards to use. Many have multiple but exclusive uses, such as do A or do B, and these uses sometimes give very different results based on operational or strategic needs at the time. To help ensure a tense and dynamic game, the system forces players to make many choices and decisions throughout play. We've got all the components there. Complexity 4 out of 10. Timescale, single year with turns with alternating multiple card plays. Map scale is the area map. Unit scale, Army level infantry, armor, air groups, and partisans. Number of players, 1 to 2, best with 2. Solitaire suitability, 8 out of 10 with a solitaire bot system. Average time to play, 3 to 5 hours. So let's crack this open and see what's in here. Okay, I was a little bit alarmed because I was hearing a lot of rattling, but it looks like everything's just loose. So we've got the cards here. As usual with cards, I don't pull them out until I'm ready for them. Then we've got our 6 black dice. The OBS is already being dumb. This was being quite dumb. There we go. OBS was being quite dumb last night during my stream of Season Ticket for 1985. Okay, I just needed a bag for the dice. You might also hear my printer whirring in the background. I've got a print project going, which actually I'm going to go check on real quick because it sounds like it stopped. So I'm hoping that means the first part's done. Sorry about the small delay there. I was just getting my print project going. So I'm working on printing off the 1970 season and season ticket baseball. But anyway, now we've got the dice bagged up, so I can go ahead and close that off. And now we'll come back to Ostkrieg and see what's in. Oh, wait a minute. I think I might have started printing on both sides. Hold on. Okay, crisis averted on that. I started the players printing, but I did start the players printing single-sided, which I was afraid of. Fortunately, it was still flattening out, getting ready for the print, so I was able to stop the print and get it started on single-sided. I'm printing it on cardstock, but I was able to get the print going single-sided. So let's pull everything out and see what else we've got in Ostkrieg now that we can turn our attention back here. We've got our map, which is a paper map. We can see all the major locations here. It might be a little bit hard to see. We've got Moscow, Leningrad, Stalingrad, Kharkov, Kiev. It's not as detailed a map as Absolute War is, and that's a game that's another game I picked up early. That's the other game I picked up when I picked up Ostkrieg. I bought them both from the same gentleman, Off the Geek. It's a paper map, which I'm not sure I like that, but we can probably deal with that. Weighting it down won't be too hard. Then we've got our counter sheet, which I need to be very careful not to punch before I'm ready for that. We've got our Axis forces in gray, the Soviets in brown. Looks like neutral counters down here. Probably control markers down here if I had to take a wild guess on that. You can put that off to the side. We've got our player aid cards, which are double-sided. I just heard something. I'm going to go check on that. Okay, I guess I was being a little paranoid there. But next thing we've got in here is the solitaire bot, the solitaire aid, all of our triggers there. Then we've got the manual, and since this is the last thing we're greeted by, usually the manual is the first thing we're greeted by, but in this case, we can give the manual a thumb through for Ostkrieg. I'll put everything back in the box. We'll bring the box out of the way. And we'll zoom in on this. Should be able to put it about there and still be able to open the rule book. All right, I'm going to put that as far over to the left as I can get it. Let me see if I can zoom this out just a touch. That way we can get the whole rule book in shot. And it's definitely a lot easier to zoom this out now that I'm using a regular mouse with my laptop. That'll work. Okay. Instructions for setup. Looks like we've got a Barbarossa scenario in here. Uranus scenario. I'm surprised there's no Bagration scenario in here. Let's see, Barbarossa scenario. Oh, is there only scenarios? I'm not sure I like that. Okay. Bidding, gameplay, year start, and card play. Then all of the area control stuff. Okay. Year end. Example of play, which I'll probably be leaning on as I work on learning this game. More of the play, or the example of play. That's a long example of play, which is making me kind of hesitant about this game, but we'll see. Looks like it's taking us through an entire year. Well, maybe not. Looks like it's taking us through a couple turns anyway. Then we've got the Solitaire Play Aid, Designer Notes, and the index. Okay, cool. We'll bring everything back into the box. And that's everything in the box with Ostkrieg. I'm going to zoom this back out. Then I'm going to go see what the deal is with my print project at my desk before we turn to our next unboxing, as we're going to be unboxing Horrified next from Ravensburger. That's a World of Monsters. So I will be right back while I go check on my print project. Sorry about the delay. I was just making sure that my print project was working okay. So we've got Horrified, World of Monsters that we're going to unbox next by Ravensburger. Take a look at the back. Save the world before terror overwhelms you. When unimaginable horrors erupt from a doorway between worlds, Earth's secret guardians call upon you. As premier monster experts, combine your unique talents against Sphinx, Yeti, Jiangshi, and Cthulhu. Each monster presents a unique challenge and can be combined differently for infinite thrills. Cooperative game of monstrous fun. We've got 4 epic monsters and a multi-phase Cthulhu challenge. 1 to 5 players, 60 minutes to play. So that could be decent Wednesday content. Let me find my pocket knife. I don't want to use my X-Acto for this, but I might have to. I thought I had my pocket knife somewhere handy here. You know what? F it. I'm just going to use the... Let me go digging one... Oh, just found the pocket knife. Never mind. So let's crack this open. There's no shrink wrap to worry about, but we do have the traditional plastic sticky stuff. Well, sticky stuff is highly technical terminology, also not very helpful. I got this from Target as part of a delivery order a couple weeks ago. I'm just now getting a chance to crack this open, but let's see what we've got in here. And what on earth have we here? This looks big. Let's pull the... Oh, this is the game board. Aha. Pretty small board, too. Okay. This could be an interesting Halloween game, actually. If I decide I like the series, maybe I'll just grab the whole Horrified series and just call it good. Call that Halloween, or call that October. Who knows? But yeah, very cool. We've even got the void in the middle of the board. All kinds of settings here, so cool. Along with a track for solo play, which is probably like a doomsday clock or something. I'm sure the rule book will tell us more about that. Fitting that it's an eye greeting us right away. So that's actually a pretty cool twist as well. Then we've got the Stewards of the Shrouded Void. I don't know if this is like a... Okay, this is the rule book, it looks like, so we'll put that off to the side. Then we've got a Codex of Monsters, which as usual, we're not going to crack open until I'm ready to deal with everything. Actually, this one we will. There's nothing here to sleeve, really. All right, so we've got Cthulhu and the monster setup for Cthulhu. Jiangshi setup for that. Sphinx. The Yeti. And this looks like something specific for Cthulhu. Looks like the objective, then steps. Okay, cool. So we can put that back in the box. Okay, oh, that's do not share is what that is. We've got punch board, which as usual, I'm not going to separate out until I'm ready to deal with it, presumably our characters. Then we've got our cards, which again, I'm not going to puncture those until I'm ready to deal with those. Got our monsters. Looks like a bag of some kind. Which I can get my hand in there, so that's pretty cool. And if you fold it out just right, it actually stands up. So that's actually cool. Also makes storage fairly easy, because now we can just throw that right back in there. Then we've got dice in here, along with standees, several in colors, which are presumably for the investigators. So we can throw all of that back in. And then we'll give the rule book a quick thumb through. Once again, I'll zoom this in. The print I'm working on now is 1970 players for season ticket. Because I'm still working on purging my inside pitch out of the collection. Okay, we've got monster cards, looks like our standees. Our citizen standees, which go into clear bases and colored bases for the heroes. Okay, objective. If we defeat the monsters on the board, we win. Lose if the terror level reaches its maximum or the monster deck is empty. Monster setup, player setup, all that good stuff. Okay. I wonder if you can mix and match the monsters in Horrified. Like, say you take on Chimera from Greek, Yeti, and Sphinx from here, potentially. I'd be curious to see how they mix and match between games. Monster phase. And we've got examples of play for the hero phase as well. So there'll probably be an example, yep, for the monster phase. Pretty small rule book, too. So hopefully that'll help make sense of it. When only one hero tries to save the realm, the citizens doubt your ability. Start the game with the terror marker set to terror level 3. Oh, that's delightful. Oh, and look at that. There's even rules for how to combine the Horrified games. I was just wondering about that. So it looks like you can cross between Horrified and Greek, but not between base Horrified and American. I may have to grab the Greek as well. But that's cool. And more stuff on combining between the two. Okay. Cool. So like I said, maybe I will grab Greek Horrified just so I have a little bit of crossover between the two games. But that's everything in the box for Horrified. Now we've got one last game to unbox. That's the big beast of this unboxing. So I'll zoom back out. I'm going to go check on my print project, though, before we bring that back in shot. Now we'll bring the big beast back in shot. This is Dwellings of Eldervale by Breaking Games. Our group played Andromeda's Edge, which is the second game in this world, in this series, a couple of weeks ago. I actually did enjoy it, but I don't know. I did enjoy the game, but I wanted to pick up the fantasy version, figuring somebody now had the sci-fi version, so bringing the fantasy version into the group would be a pretty handy thing to do. This is a worker placement. It's supposed to be an epic fantasy, a high fantasy epic game. So I normally am shy around worker placement, but I'm hoping the theme of high fantasy is going to help out with this one. So let's take a look at the back of this big beast. A long-lost world of magical power awaits. Giant monsters roam while dragons, wizards, and warriors battle in 8 elemental realms. Fight the beasts, dwell the land, claim the magic. Dwellings of Eldervale is an epic worker placement engine building game with unique worker types, tons of variable player powers, and the ability to customize your tableau of cards. Core gameplay is simple and quick, yet layered with choices, so it's never the same adventure twice. And now we've got the second edition. It looks like we've got the game trays in here. Also has a solo mode right out of the gate. 1 to 5 players, 30 minutes per player, and ages 14 plus. So let's crack this big beast open and we'll see what we've got in here. Okay, there's gonna be a lot of shrink wrap coming off. There we are. I don't know if you noticed there, but it is offset slightly where the box, where apparently the top isn't going to get flat to the bottom. So that might make storage a little bit of a problem. I'm going to leave the blade open for the time being until I get the shrink wrap completely off. It's not wanting to cooperate with me here. Okay, there we go. Now we've got it off. Okay. Now we can actually close the blade easily. And now we'll pull the lid open and we'll see what all we've got in here. Ooh, I didn't even notice that. Looks like there's a little bit of art. Looks like there's a little bit of art on the inside of the box. That's cool. We'll get that out of the way for the time being. We've got the rules of play, which we'll thumb through later. The Ghosts of Eldervale, which actually might be thin enough to get its own thumb through. And an appendix. first time setup. Then we've got several of our trays. These are probably the main player trays. I'll put those to the side for the time being. Got all of our punch board here as usual. Like I said, I'm not going to pull this out until I'm ready to deal with it. Then we've got the game board, which actually this is small enough that I could probably just kind of display it like so. Looks like there's a scoring track around the outside edge of it. Not sure what these orb rewards are. Then looks like the 8 elemental planes. We've got a space for the underworld. Board is not double-sided. Then we've got stickers. A sheet for the Ghosts of Eldervale, which is double-sided with art. Then we start getting into our factions. Another set of factions. Mostly the trays, which is all of this. More of the trays. I was afraid the dice were going to be this size. I don't like the size of dice, so I'm going to have to get those all sorted out I'm going to have to get those sorted out pretty quick, and this whole thing looks like it's going to be one giant mess. That's going to need to get sorted pronto. Odds are I'm also going to be ripping this insert out. We've got advertisements for legendary minis and sound FX bases. Deluxe minis, wood resources, and gold coins for deluxe upgrades. I'll probably try to play this game once before I pursue anything deluxe, but the one thing I'm going to do right away, most likely, is getting new dice, because I don't like these smaller dice. Then we've got 2 sets of cards, which as usual, I don't puncture cards until I'm ready to deal with them. Looks like we've got our actual dwellings, which are probably going to go in the trays. That's probably the ghost. Looks like your workers. Probably another set of workers for each color. Oops. I'm dropping the standee. But that's what these are, the standees. Looks like each player's dragon. Another unique worker. Probably scoring markers. There's going to be a lot of organization that's going to need to happen here. Then we've got, looks like, almost like, they're not bath beads, obviously, but that's what comes to mind. We've got what look like mini cards. I don't know if they're European or American. These are probably spell cards. Then we've got a mini for a dragon. And looks like another, almost looks like a Furbolg monster at first glance, but I know that's not what it is. So we can start putting these back in the box. This insert is not likely to last long with everything in here. Now I just have to remember how it went again. I think those 2 went over there. Those cards went there. I want to make sure I'm able to close this thing again. Let's see here. I don't think these are going to lay quite flat from the looks of it. I would be stunned if this insert lasts after I sit down to do maintenance on this game. That bottom insert is almost certainly not going to last. I'd be willing to bet almost anything I owned on that. We'll throw everything back in there. We'll put this away until I'm ready to do maintenance on this game, getting it ready. Then we'll start giving then we'll give the rule books our cursory thumb through. See if I can zoom that in. I'll wait and deal with the print project later since we're almost done here. Let's zoom that back in. 160 should be fine. Yep. Okay. Actually, I'm going to bring this box out of the way. Oh, hold on. I just realized I got these two trays over here as well. Yeah, that's not going to close cleanly. I'm probably going to need to do maintenance on that pretty quick. But we should be able to thumb through the rule book. Mother of Dragons and a Frost Giant, that's what that is. Then we've got a Watcher Meeple, which is actually for solo mode. Okay, then we've got a lot of stuff here that's going to be legendary and deluxe upgrades. Setup, and there's a solo rulebook for the Ghosts of Eldervale to set up a solo game. Optional realms. Okay. Terms and concepts. Okay, so those mini cards are magic cards, which is what I thought they were. Dungeoning, regrouping, and dwellings. Okay. Reactions and your adventure card tableau. How to do battle. This is definitely looking very similar to Andromeda's Edge. Elemental power. Monsters and the end of the game. Alternate game modes, mercenaries, and introducing the mini expansions. We got 2v2 mode, drafting magic adventure without doorways, tactics tokens, and sound FX bases. And Eldervale in a box. Okay, looks like we've got ways to stack that. Then we'll bring the Ghosts of Eldervale into shot, give that a quick thumb through. Everything that's needed for the solo mode. Ghost setup. Special rules and ghost turns. Ghost actions, endgame scoring. And that's everything for the Ghosts of Eldervale. And now the appendix, which also feels fairly small. Right? Looks like it's just a record of the elemental factions. Okay. All right. Got a lot of very interesting factions in here and explanation of the cards. Order cards and chaos cards. Magic cards. Monsters and what they do. Legendary monsters. And FAQs. Okay. This box obviously isn't going to close cleanly. Okay. Probably not until I do maintenance on it anyway. But we'll zoom this all the way back out. But that will wrap another Tuesday stream as we've unboxed a few new games into the collection. Tomorrow, we'll be playing season ticket football from season ticket games. Thursday, we'll be back to my 1985 season replay in season ticket baseball, as it'll be September 3rd, 1985. We will be at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, Michigan, as the California Angels will be taking on the Detroit Tigers. Kirk McCaskill will be going for the Angels, and Dan Petrie will be going for the Tigers. Saturday, Mystical Munchies will continue out of the recipes from the World of Tolkien cookbook with the entree, fish and chips, which will likely mean Saturday morning baseball. Saturday, we'll also be playing, Sunday will be another block in my 1985 replay in season ticket baseball. That'll be announced after the last block on Saturday, which I think will be a doubleheader. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future.